How's it going, everybody? Darby here with Gen AI University, tuning in for the day after our live free Scale with AI virtual summit. Joined today by members of our paid community for a live interactive workshop, specifically where we're going to be going into Gamma and implementing some of the stuff that we learned yesterday. How you doing, Tyrese?
I'm well, thank you. It's a bright sunny morning in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Right
And it's
on.
not too
Yeah.
hot either, so I like that.
Yeah, it's starting to cool down a little bit here in Austin. Also,
Mhm.
Tyrese, while you're here, what was your experience of the summit yesterday?
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I especially liked our presentation with Gamma. I think that was a really enjoyable ex time with them to see how all the different aspects work and the new studio feature as well that they have in beta. That'll be cool to test it out and see how that works. And I
Yeah.
especially joined your side hustle game at the very end. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, that was a fun way to end the day. And I'm looking forward to testing out the studio feature. That was going to be my main focus for today since it's so new. And I was giving it a try yesterday. It had a few ideas that we could test out for some different use cases. It's such a new feature in Gamma. The purpose of this workshop more directly is going to be implementation of what was learned yesterday and how can we practically use Gamma inside of our own visual content creation and marketing. So for those that haven't watched the Gamma workshop yet, or you don't see this feature in your own Gamma account, it's because it is a brand new feature that Gamma just released initially to the Game Ambassadors and their Game Ambassador community, which I am a part of, and so are some other members of the community. For those of you that are joining in right now, and on the replays here on YouTube and inside the community, this session is going to cover some of the latest Gamma features and functions that they've been rolling out. Some of them may not be available inside of your account yet, as this is a brand new feature I'm going to be exploring called their Studio in Gamma. And it brand new as in I think it came out not even 24 hours before we went live yesterday for the summit. And so the Gamma team didn't even know that this was in production. And so we saw a post inside of their Game Ambassador community, which if you're watching the summit replay, they give instructions at the end of their session about how to get in contact with them to be invited into that community, which if you are using Gamma actively, I would encourage you to reach out to them and see if you can get inside of that Slack channel. It's a great place to see what other Gamma users are using, Gamma 4, bugs that are being addressed, features that are coming out, such as the studio that I'll be sharing with you. It's really cool. And so I want to just give you an idea of how I've tested it currently. And I want to work through maybe one or two other ideas for how we could use it practically for something that could be useful today in my own operations, get an idea for what the flow is. And then at a point, we'll figure out if we want to maneuver a little bit into some other areas that might make some sense to test out. I want to show you first what this did yesterday. So inside of Gamma, if you have a Gamma account, these are all your projects. And so I have been working inside of a ChatGPT thread that has tons of context about stuff that we're doing here. And I'm going to start with just like the MarketSauce OS one because it was the most top of mind yesterday after getting off. So I'm going to start with this is the output of what we got. And this was 60 slides that were generated in all one swoop, basically, following like a script in like a format that I was provided as an upload. And so you can see the color scheme, like the theme, the words, all of this was all generated via like image, not in your traditional Gamma storytelling, not storytelling, not in your traditional Gamma card where you can go and edit text directly on it. But this is all text that's generated with AI as well as the images. And so how did we get to this point and like where might this fit in what we're doing right now? To me, this is like a slide for a video sales letter type of thing that would have a voiceover behind it and something else that we would use to walk people through what this product or service is. But if you go into Gamma's next year settings in the upper right hand corner, you can go back and view the source prompt for what created this presentation. And then we'll walk through how we got here again and how this feature works. So basically, inside of the Gamma Studio, I'm saying, well, making a commercial that feels like a trailer slash luxury billboard campaign. And so I gave it this whole prompt, which I used GPT-5 to help with create. And once I gave it this prompt and I selected minimal text with outline, it actually broke down the prompt I gave it into individual slides with instructions for each one of those slides. Here's where the final pieces of the puzzle came together to make what we created. I could select a couple different things for the art style. I could select a visual theme. So if you're familiar with Gamma, you have your visual themes. You may have your own custom theme, which is the MarketSauce Evolved. It has brand palette, colors, typography, all that stuff. And you could select different ones for it. And then you have this image art style, which you could use photorealistic. If you watched the Gamma presentation yesterday, I think that's the one that they were using for the mermaid example, the Little Mermaid example. You could select a few other examples here. This 3D one looks like Gamma's palette, like their color style. And then you have custom, which I asked Chat to help with creating a brand style guide for the content that we were doing. And so I gave it a whole brand style guide, basically. How to stay in line. I click generate, and that was the result that we saw. Now, to go back even a step further, when you're in your Gamma account, if you are a game ambassador and you do have access to this, and depending on when Gamma rolls this out, it may be on a different tier plan. It's brand new. I don't know. I'm very much in my first 24 hours of even experimenting with it. When it goes to try it out, it feels very much like a traditional way that you would go and create content with Gamma. But instead of just presentation, you can also do social media. And so there are a few different ways that we could generate content with this. And so I have a few projects that need content for them regularly. We have Gen AI University. We create content for our clients that we work with using our market sauce method. And then the side hustle game is another prime example. And so for the side hustle game, there's a few ways that I've been experimenting with creating content for that with an upcoming celebration, basically. Like, how would we play side hustle with different groups of people from 8 to 18? And so that was another thing. And I'll get into like actual like demos of us going and generating it too. But I just want to show you a different dynamic than the market sauce example. Let's do this one. So I created three different versions of this. So I'm going to select the second one I made, and it's going to take me directly to, and again, this was generated all inside of this new studio, pretty much in one swoop. And so it took the style guidelines I gave it, which the same way I set it up before is how I set this up. This one I had to walk through how would I present this in a way that people could understand and learn what this game is if you were a teacher or a facilitator working with parents or students or kids in your classroom. So say, hey, welcome to Side Hustle, the birthday edition, a game where you pitch the next big idea. Right. The hustle begins. What is Side Hustle? To start your entrepreneurs on game night. You pitch a wacky business name in a random industry, the formula for your next big idea. So here's how to win, right? The first entrepreneur to 5 points wins. There's two ways to win. You get the funny and the fundable, and you let the investor decide your fate. So one investor each round rotates every round. And so let's go ahead and get started. So you're going to break up into teams. And this is where you would break up depending on the group size, one table to multiple tables. And so you would have the investor right here. And so I say, oh, oops, like investor is spelled wrong. And so this is a really key part that I'm excited about. Now, inside of the studio, the way that you edit things isn't traditionally like editing and moving text around because it's all image based. So here, I'm going to say the word investor in the crown is spelled wrong. Please change the spelling to correctly spell investor in the crown and make sure that it is fully colored in. So now what I just did was dictated the instruction to the AI. Okay, so I'm going to select enter. And now, because I was on this slide, it assessed that I was on this slide on the right hand side. And did it? Oh, it looks like it didn't transfer that. So again, this is super beta. So for some reason, it didn't use the prompt. So I'm going to say that to it again. The word investor is spelled wrong. Please fix the spelling and make sure the crown is fully colored in. And if anyone here has worked with any like the vibe coding type of tools like Bolt or Lovable or one of those other tools where you could prompt it and it will write code, like this is how I'm seeing this interface interacting with creating a presentation. I'm still directing it, but look at that. It didn't color it in completely, but now investor is spelled correctly.
Nice.
And so it's like the E in investor looks a little weird. Please clean it up so it is super crisp and clear. So it's going again. Like similar to even like in Descript, if you're familiar with Descript, they have an AI underlord and you can talk to it to give it edits throughout the different slides. Doesn't look like it really did a ton. Actually, it did. Yeah, it did. It took a second and now it's actually cleaner for me to see on there. So a super small directed command and Gamma's AI chat helped complete it. And that's one slide of many. And so if I'm going through, I can continue to refine which one of these slides and all of that sort of stuff throughout every one of the slides, which I think is cool. But also, like, how did we get to this point in the first place? This is a lot of slides, it's a lot of context. Like, how do we set this up to start? And so I'm going to show you how in my ChatGPT account I was setting up like these sort of slides, and we'll go through another example for how to do it because I need to tighten it up a little bit. I don't want that to actually be a full 60 slides. But again, the benefit to, working, well, and you may be using Claude for this or some other LLM, but with GPT, I have a project set up for this game. And so you see, Side Hustle Storyboard creation was my last project. I had already set this project up to include my brand style guide and to include the game instructions. So these already were like included in the context. And so I could provide the actual brand guidelines to Gamma. Again, with Gamma, if I go back to view the source prompt, I've already spent the time to create a custom like brand style guide. So these are all the instructions. I gave it in the traditional sense. Minimal text. I could do it just vibes and have no text at all if I just wanted images. But I selected my side hustle theme, and so it also had those colors incorporated with it. And so all of the colors still like in line with that brand. And then I had this storyboard narrative prompt, which included some other instructions. So I'm going to do another example now that we have this storyboard, but with a little bit more directed prompt. So I'm going to do my voice dictation directly to chat. I need to enable the mic, which means that it's because I'm on Zoom. So I won't do that. I'll just do the use whisper flow. All right, now I want to create a more condensed version of this that includes slightly more text on each specific slide. The goal of this would be to help facilitators and people that are going to be helping play the game inside of different classrooms, different organizations, or different sort of parties or events to walk through the different game structure, the game elements as we've articulated them in the instructions provided, and then create a slide deck of 15 slides that walk someone start to finish how to play the game, how to break up into teams, and tell the story of how to play Side Hustle so that it can be very easy to walk through, understand how to play, and then begin playing a round. I'm going to add one more thing to this because I'm trying to put the context in order here so that I can just copy and paste it directly into Gamma. The purpose of this content is going to be to create specific slides that articulate the creative direction of each particular slide, as well as the specific text that would be displayed on the slide. So make sure that it's optimized for AI storyboard capabilities, as we will be using Gamma to create this, and then create a secondary prompt style guide that is a more condensed version of the prompt style guide we had above that we can copy and paste into that specific section. And so I'm going to have it run this now, a 15 slide deck versus 60. Welcome to Side Hustle. So it's giving it like the creative direction, on-screen text. Today you'll learn that. So you see all the different slides, the rule of the game. I'm verifying that all the rules are right here. Slide 12, step 7, rotate and repeat. All right, cool. So I like this. I'm gonna take this and we'll walk through what we're gonna do to get this result. And so I'm gonna go back to Gamma because I need to organize my stuff better. I'm going to actually go to my left-hand side and select my side hustle folder. That way, anytime I want to go back to this, I'm not searching through 50 gammas that were unorganized to begin with, which I'm very guilty of. And now we see I have just vibes, minimal text, a little context, and plenty of text. I'm going to test this with a little context because there is more text to this that I would like to actually articulate and show. And I'm going to say 15 slides, still traditional, I'm going to paste these in, and now I'm going to generate the outline. So you can see it now generating the outline specifically. Cool. And it's side hustle. So I'm going to view more, go to my custom theme, and scroll down to side hustle for the brand theme. And then just to make sure, I'm going to go back to my ChatGPT thread, condensed prompt style guide, and I'm just going to give it the bold context, style, colors, tone, custom, right? If I did photorealistic, and we could generate this again photorealistic so we can see how it works. And I'm curious how that'll look as well. So I'm going to click generate. It was definitely slower than traditional gamma deck generation. It says don't close while generating the tab, especially if you're in Chrome. Sometimes you swapping tabs can time you out. And so I run into the same thing with ChatGPT. It's loading things up and cue the elevator music.
I love though that you can customize every part of this now in a much easier way than before.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to give a different level of creative direction to bringing it into Gamma, especially if you've got like your own custom theme and a really well refined like brand prompt to see how consistent these images and things will stay. What I've
Yeah.
noticed, it doesn't, it's, and maybe this is something I do to set up inside of the theme images is uploading like brand specific images like the logo versus not because like here it's generating like a version of the mascot, which is totally fine. But
Oh, as
I
opposed to the mascot, right?
like official
Right.
brand like assets, like I'm wondering
Mhm.
how specific those can get incorporated into here. And
Mm.
so let's look and see now. It's like a weird shaped unicorn. So it says, welcome to Side Hustle, the party game where you pitch your next big idea, how to set up a game, how to play around, how to win, right? The big idea, Side Hustle about imagination, teamwork, and pitching business ideas. You get a fun A business name. So like obviously some of the text needs to be I hear that in my head. I'm like, that's fun A.
You just want to keep that's your brand,
You can
right?
say fun A with an EH for Canada.
Fun A.
Fun
Yeah,
A.
exactly. And so see we see the kids version over here, then we see the adults over here. Game objections, first team to 5 points wins. Funny equals funniest pitch. Fundable is fundable pitch. Much messed logistic pitch, right? So more text is obviously at this stage is like obviously still putting some stress on it. But here's the game components, right? And if I'm like a facilitator and I could do one Loom video that walks this through and then anyone could watch it and then be like, oh, okay, I can teach this to my classroom is the goal for like how I would share this with somebody. So
And that's
roles in the
last
game.
slide, Darby. It actually nailed it. If you really look at what
No,
the
yeah, we had the
process, it
cards. We had the
completely nailed it. Yeah.
this was like all of the imagery that we've basically included inside of the physical game because you have the whiteboards, you have the pencils and the dry erase markers, you have the
Correct.
timer, roles in the game, 2 rounds, rolls Teddy. And so step one, so split into teams of 2 and 4. Each table can host up to the teams. Brainstorm, 1 to 2 minutes to pitch, go wild, right? So teams pitch, investor awards. This one, okay, so it didn't show up here, but it showed up here. Teams rotate and repeat. Big game, do a pitch off, short game. So it looks like a couple repeats here. But like all in all, like that's a pretty solid one shot. Like here's this presentation that I want to pitch with this much graphic behind it. Like I'm impressed by how well it actually kept with the words. And then also how easy it was to just update it and say, hey, we want to change this word to that. But let's go ahead and give it another shot. I'm not always expecting AI in any platform whatsoever, Gamma, chat, whatever, it doesn't matter, to just give you all the answers to everything, like especially right the first time. Sometimes it's going to take some refining. So I'm going to try one more, but instead of custom, I'm just going to go to photorealistic. I want to see how well Gamma is locked in with the photorealism paired with our instructions and our brand style guide. Because now what's not included is all of the additional brand custom prompt I gave it. So this is my very first photorealistic version. I don't know what is gonna come out of this,
You're a dragon with blonde hair.
right? They're like a hyper detailed unicorn with Ray-Bans or Meta Ray-Bans or something.
That would be cute.
Is this giving you guys any like ideas for how you could use it? Anything standing out to you in terms of
Yeah, it would. I think that this is a super way to create a series of posts if you wanted to. You could actually see it visually all in one shot, which is nice.
Yeah, look at this. Because the main character's nickname is Rich Rock, Richard Rockefeller, and it gave it sunglasses on a rock.
I love it. Oh my God, I love it.
Personally, like this is like wild how good the humans are getting with these AI ones. This guy looks like he's a potato. But you mentioned like the teeth were a little off before
Yeah,
Tyrese, and so
yeah,
still odd. I'm not really a fan of like I wouldn't put this out there as the main thing because I think it just still looks weird.
yeah.
But this is the photorealistic version. So I'm like, okay, that's cute. Let's see what you can do for me on the abstract version, because maybe abstracted might be actually better in this case. Or actually, let's do illustration. Probably going to be less, again, on the branded colors. I kind of like having the custom style, and I would actually refine the custom style a little bit more to capture a little bit more of how the brand, like the illustration should look. But all in all, as long as the context on every slide flows and makes sense, that's my biggest thing here. And so after this, like how I would actually go back and update and refine it, I'll show you that. And that you want to play the game online. And so we want to have a slide that says, hey, go to playsidehustle.com to sign up to play the actual online version for free. And then, like I mentioned at the beginning, I was working on a pickaxe studio for this that you could actually give it context about your event. And then the AI version of Rich Rock is going to help with here's the structure of the event for how many people and your time constraints that could work for you. And I was using some of the questions that the school was asking. We want the game, but we have this many people. These are the different versions of it. So I used chat to help with coming up with a prompt that trained the pickaxe on how to interact with that. And I'll show you how that would work into this as well. It clearly thinks that it's a rock instead of the unicorn because we didn't give it the extra context, right? So Rich Rock again is now like a literal rock with the sunglasses, which is funny, but not exactly what I'm looking for. You see the style comes out. It's definitely more illustrative, brainstorm, a lot of spelling errors still. Like it's getting good, close, but I'm going to need to go through and give it another pass. Pitch time. Cool. So I know what updates I'm going to make here. And like some of these are pretty funny with what can be said. And so I'm going to go back now, say, all right, we're going to make a few different adjustments. The first adjustment is incorporating into the slide deck presentation. We want an additional slide that incorporates the theme that you can play the online version of the game for free, where you can pull digital cards and set up a scoreboard and keep track of funny and fundable points. And see additional game instructions at playsidehustle.com. And we also want to include that if they want to talk with our interactive AI unicorn billion entrepreneur party game guide, Richard Rich Rock Rockefeller, you can go to studio.sidehustle.com. The last update I want to make is to the actual prompt style guide. I want to keep the colors and the theme and everything going there, but I want to add a little bit more on the whiteboard drawing side of the equation and post-it notes and keeping it fun and fundable in the design output, but make it feel like we're almost like creating these on top of a whiteboard inside of a classroom or on an idea board. So now what I'm going to be getting out of this is a refined slide deck prompt that's going to include the other things that I'm looking for here. So it's writing out that outline. I'm actually going to have it rewrite all of the actual contents for it so that I can update it and just have chat do the rewriting for me versus what it did is it just gave me the slide deck like right here. So I'm gonna say, that's great. Now what I want you to do is create the full exact prompts and the series of instructions exactly as I would need to copy and paste it in your next output so that it's really easy for me to upload to the AI. I need it top to finish exactly how I need to copy and paste it. Cool. So it's going to include the gamma block and it's going to include block one. And then we have the block too. So now, again, because I've said it a few times now, so like the other inclusion, right, for this is sending them to, so that's the wrong one, studio.playsidehustle.com. And I probably need to just set up a redirect that says playsidehustle.com/studio. If I could spell studio, would just redirect to this, which I set this up just a little bit before hopping on here. So we would go here, I embedded just the game commercial if people come to it. But once you would sign up, or if I already have an account, let me see. We're just going to sign up because it's free to play on this too. We don't have a paid tier. There's just going to be a support tier if you want to support the game. So now we're into the studio. So I'm going to say I'm ready to play with my class. And now the instructions on the back are designed to help understand context about what's going on. How many players do we have? How much time do we have to play? This is elementary school, high school. Should we play one of these styles? And this, what I added to this, which I don't know if I can test here again. Okay, I can allow this time. We have 15 players and 45 minutes to play. We're middle school and we want to do a mix of silly and funny and fundable. So you saw as a new inclusion for Pickaxe that you can now activate voice mode, which to me is how I prefer to talk with this stuff. So shout out to Pickaxe for adding that in. It's literally just a toggle button on the back end of this. Would it? Hi, Shelly. Good to see you. Tyrese, you want to see how this is actually set up on the back end for Pickaxe too, for how
Yeah,
it ties
I
in?
would love that. Yeah.
All right, I'll pull that up on another screen while this is going. But basically, so it's just extracting the information that it needs. All right, 15 players, 45 minutes. Here's the Rich Rock recommendation format. Boom. 5 teams of 3 players each. Right? That's actually a perfect size and way to format this. So everyone's playing in one, play for 3 points, works inside of that thing. Okay, here's how we roll, round structure. And so now as the facilitator, I have basically like a customized like outline for how I would run this game and facilitate it inside my class. So the industries, if you need them, tech and apps. And so it just gave me the actual industries. I also gave it the whole manuscript of instructions with different business names and 1,000 industries so that it could pull from a bunch of random ones also. So now it says, you want me to generate your first random names? Just say generate, and I'll pull the random unicorn brain of infinite business ideas. So I could say generate. And again, this isn't even the online version, right? But it's basically operating in the same way. Business name, go state, rolls die, media and entertainment. And then it goes, right? And so there's multiple ways that this could be facilitated. But now we're linking back to that, plus people signing up online and being able to add their own name, investor's choice on the name side, and then you can actually keep track of people here, right? With team one, team two, funny and fundable. So that's where someone would use something like this, need some extra help, pull up the Side Hustle Studio to create a custom version of your game, and then you're ready to go. I need to actually create those slide decks and then would shoot like a 3-minute Loom video to the facilitator, say, hey, follow these instructions. Here's the access to these resources. Now you can go and play. And if you have any questions before, they're actually buying a physical version of the game. So they'll have that handy. But now I'm going to go ahead and create new. I'm going to select studio. And now I'm just going to copy and paste that other one in with 16 cards. I'm going to say 20 cards just to see if that'll make any difference. I'm curious how that'll output. A little bit of context, generate the outline. See, welcome, big idea, game objective, what's in the box. And we're walking through this again within the first 24 hours of me even knowing that this feature is there and that it's activated in my account. You might be saying or thinking that, hey, I use Gamma for these other ways also. And I like maybe there's ways that I would use this, or maybe there's ways that like it's not going to do what I need it to do. I want to be able to modify my slides really particularly. And that's been some of the feedback I've seen in the Gambassador community as well. So again, it's super early. If you want to be part of the conversation with Gamma, reach out to their team about joining their Gambassador program. Obviously, you're going to want to be a subscriber to Gamma in order to get the most out of it. But then, they may or may not get you access to this feature, and it's still super early. So what I did is I copied that last style prompt for a custom stylized prompt. We see we have the colors, the neon mint, the aqua, the soft mint, and I'm going to go ahead and generate now. And we'll see how this like fourth or fifth or sixth rendition of it produces the slides in a way that is going to make sense and be easy to get people up to speed on board with the game.
I have a question for you, Darby. In that custom style, what if you had, is it possible to state in there that you wanted to have a unicorn with specific colors or something like that? Would that help with generating the exact main character
My
that you want?
my guess is that yes, it would. And I don't have like hyper specific mascot details in there, but if I wanted
Yeah.
to test that, this would be a great environment to just see how would another round look with that being the only change.
Right. Because I see it because when it was doing it with no prompt there with the rock, rock
But I
what
think,
was it called? Rich Rock?
yeah, so it was Rich
Yeah.
Rock and it was taking it
Yeah.
literal. I'm not going to close this tab right now, but this is
Yeah.
actually the unicorn version.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back and check the prompt and see what it says
Yeah.
because that would be the place to focus on the description of what is actually going to look like. And also just checking what did slide one say? Did slide one say this is what should be on there? There should be a unicorn with a top hat, right? If that's the case. And again, contextually, the game's mascot is a unicorn that wears sunglasses. So that's the whole reason why we're using that as the character here.
Yeah.
Your company might have a different mascot. You might not have a mascot.
Course. Yeah. No, 'cause I was trying to figure out how can we do it so that when it runs their own illustrated or photorealistic versions, if there was a way for us to say, hey, we actually want it to be a unicorn versus something that it just
Yeah.
wants to
So
generate.
I'm gonna go back and do that again because I want to optimize the gamma style prompt to ensure that the unicorn is always wearing cool sunglasses and is consistently colored with a mix of white and green and is optimized to fit into the context of the style of this aesthetic throughout the image generation. Oh no, upgrade to go faster. All right. Always with cool sunglasses. Okay. So dice, microphone. So icons, elements. Okay, copy.
Here's where it says Little Rich Rock right there in the thing. That's why it's going there. Did you see that? Right there, it says mascot, include Rich Rock.
But the side hustle
Oh, and now
unicorn
you've
mascot.
added the unicorn mascot. Excellent. Okay.
But I don't, that's where beforehand it might have been if you go up to the top, how to play, creative direction, mascot, Rich Rock front and center. So there's no real context about him being like a unicorn here unless it picks
Right.
it up from something else. And so that would
Right.
be why you give it to photorealistic. And like maybe it didn't pick up that the mascot was a unicorn. And so its name is Rich Rock. Maybe it's an actual literal rock. Now I'm just going to go back to the source prompt. See, these are all the prompts as well. We didn't change anything there. We just changed this here. And I'm going to regenerate.
Darby, does Gamma have the ability, like when you're sending the command, can you have it print one slide at a time as opposed to doing them all?
Right now, I think this is the only way to get this done. When you're talking about the traditional way to generate slides, like it also generates all of the slides at once. And so you could manually run different slides, but you can't, as far as I understand how to use it, you can't like queue up prompts to then do one and then have it go to the next prompt. But you could use the AI chat to generate a new slide inside of a presentation as you go if you really wanted to just start like one at a time. But for right now, anyways, this that's still like super early in beta is just doing all slides at once. So we get here, and it's AI people. So it's still following the format of each side. Roll switch. So I mean, it's got sunglasses on everyone. It's got the green stuff. So yeah, rotate. But probably need to get a little bit more refined because this is more of the style that wants to be consistent with it. And so I'm gonna copy that. That was loud. I think we got some feedback on your end, John. I'm gonna put you on mute. Oh, actually, that's fine. So now incorporate that updated style guide for Rich Rock with the other brand styles and make sure that the colors are all on brand and on theme throughout. So my bet with this is that you spend the time on finding the right image story guide for your own custom images. And if you can get that created in the brand and the style that you want, then it's going to save me more time down the road for doing this again. And but this is also a creative asset that we would be able to use for basically anybody that would want to be playing this and showing and teaching like a classroom and how to get caught up to speed. So I'm fine with spending more time on refining it. And it's really cool to see where Gamma is taking this particular element. Like personally, I'm excited about being able to use this for a number of different things. One thing that we may or may not have time to test out today is taking like an image from this sort of generation and then using something like GenSpark that can use different AI video generation tools to actually turn it into a short media clip or something of that nature. That's something that there's a lot of different AI video creation tools that are emerging or already established and that you can improve on. But that's like its own thing for taking like an image and creating like a full on like
I can imagine in the future somewhere that you would have a slide deck like this, where then Rich Rock is actually talking and walking you through it. And he's talking on each screen or each card.
yeah, like a perfect example of like how you could think it, oh, what if this slide could do that? This is the start frame, and then what does this next 3 or 5 or 8 second clip look like? And with the way that AI tools are going, you say move his mouth in a way that he looks like he's talking, and then you add the voiceover on top of it. Or even VO3, I think, could do voiceover, right? That was one of the more recent updates that we saw with that tool, which is pretty cool. This one already looks a lot better to me than the other ones. Welcome to Side Hustle, the party game here. All the words are right. That's good. I'm fine with him wearing a top hat. Side Hustle is about imagination. These human kids are creeping me out. I don't like
They really look terrible.
the human kids inside, the human people inside of the image generation look super creepy. So let's refine the prompt to make sure that none of the images are using anything close to photorealism. It's all gets an illustrated whiteboard drawn thing that articulates the image or illustrates the image or whatever. You get what I'm saying, chat. Yeah, I don't like those images are creepy. Trying to give like kids nightmares. It's like a horror game. All right, there we go. Let's try it one more time. Team McGamma's probably like, who's this? Why is this guy generating 5,000 slides of a unicorn playing cards? Don't ask questions. Gamma, just keep making an awesome tool.
Right?
Okay.
Speaking of image generation, I'm noticing that chat actually, their image generator, the built-in one, is really good these days.
Yeah, it is getting
Really,
incredibly
really good. Yeah.
a lot better than is a lot of these tools are. It's just interesting to note how much more consistent you're able to get with it. Hard to do them in bulk though. And so that's where I think if you can
Mhm.
get something like here, like I'm curious, I haven't watched yet Dr. Bruce Fleck's submission for this summit on a ideogram for a character consistency.
Yeah,
So
I'd like to see that too.
that'll be up on the channel here soon.
Because that's the one thing that's been super hard is trying to keep the because I have for my automation goldmine, I've got my one agent that I keep using, and every time I use her, there's a new iteration of her as opposed to the exact iteration of her. And so it'd be nice to see if he could actually have it so that it's the same image that we can use in different
Yeah.
slides.
So this is better. I'd rather have these types of drawings than like creepy, weird, sort of looking humans. Big idea. This is what it's about. Game objectives. What's in the box? Every round. So if I'm like a teacher and I have one game, I would set up like individual game like decks on each table. Brainstorming. Investor question. This is the best one in terms of flow and simplicity and style. So I think the prompt behind this is like an example of a kid version and an example of an adult version. So play on it anywhere, play sidehustle.com for instant play. Thanks for playing. So step 5 was out of order. They duplicated step 5, so not a big deal. And
It's
yeah,
like 20 cards and it's trying to fill in the cards, the
I
card
think so.
number.
Yeah, I think so. So I'm gonna give it one last shot, and while it's generating that, I have just another example that I want to like run it through for another use case that I was trying to see if it would make sense. Oh, whatever. That's weird. Yeah, you can't do. Oh, interesting.
And it won't let you type in the number either, will it?
Yeah, so maybe that's a limitation is
Oh,
that gap between 15 to 20, but not a biggie. The other example, once this one generates, I wanted to test was using it for like thumbnail generation for YouTube because we're going to create a thumbnail for every Scale with AI Summit session, pre-recorded and live. I know how much that time that generally will take me inside of Gamma, and I like the consistency that we've been able to create on the channel, but there's room for improvement. And if this can nail a similar style to what we're doing in Gamma, then it might be worth it. I'm testing another screen over here just to see what that would look like based on the summit that we just wrapped up.
I've got another meeting at 9:30, so I'm gonna have to hop off just shortly before that. Wish I could stay on with you. This is so much fun.
We'll see if there's anything we need to stick on beyond an hour and a half. Probably get a few more tests here, but I'll show you the pickaxe as well, Tyrese, while you're still on. Pretty cool for being able to put together a quick slide deck that is fully illustrated.
Actually, I like this last one a lot.
I do too. Yeah.
Yeah,
The text is good. This was going to be perfect because they're actually going to have a physical game. I'm going to the post office after we wrap up this call and shipping it off.
cool. You need
Awards.
some hair or something.
I get a toupee shop. Short on time, play for 3 points. It's perfect. Play online anywhere. Dog walker, startup podcast. Popcact. Play side hustle, share your wildest pitches. Yeah, I
There,
knew. Just yeah,
when
repeat
it
it.
was on the that last slide there, where the
Yeah, tag us at play side hustle. It's pretty clean. Cool. That's a cool example, I think, of creating like a presentation. I will use this in a way that I'll share it with him. Here's how to walk through it, and then you could teach the teachers with it, or just use my Loom video that would walk through this to share. And then what I'm also going to share with that school is the studio that their teachers and facilitators could use in the event that they would find it useful. And as I mentioned, we use Pickaxe for this. And in my Pickaxe account, I'm good on my studio. And in my studio, I have two. This was an older one that I made. As you can see, I edited it. I unlisted it from the studio. And we have rich rock here. So I'm gonna select it. You can see the details of it on on the right hand side. Claude, access to two products. You can see the response history. And then when you're actually editing this pickaxe, I was working with chat to help with refining it. I gave it again the instructions. I gave it the knowledge and context of the game's website, Pitchlandia Volume 1, which includes the game instructions and like thousands of different business names and industries. And then the rules, the same rules that we used for that slide deck. So it has contextually, it knows exactly how the game works and operates. I actually didn't give it, I gave it the image generation Flex Schnell, but I don't know if anyone actually needs to generate images when they're playing this game. You can also give it, I believe, access to another pickaxe to be able to get triggered, which I'm not going to include in this right now, but it's interesting to see. And there's obviously other things here that we can consider as we build this out. But I just give it a profile image and a chat icon, text placeholders, let's play side hustle. And it doesn't really need to respond with a book or a massive paragraph of context every time. So output length is still 2000, but that's going to be more than enough. There's no reason anyone would need to input 10,000 characters of context, but that's what it's set at right now. And like the memory buffer, again, it's maybe this goes to 5,000. There's more I could do on the training dialogue but I set the creativity to 5. I'm going to actually make that a 7. Right here, I could include word biases to use words and avoid words. So if I was like, don't ever use the word hustle, that would put a constraint on it. But I might say, don't ever use the word like make money quickly or get rich quick, or do not say these sorts of phrases in your language, but do use like certain words. But this was the role and like the setting the tone for what the tool does. So if you recall when I asked it the first question, always begin by asking, should we play silly, Shark King style, or a mix? Okay, how do we want to play? If I wanted to remove these questions, I would just remove them from the instruction. And then we have more of the instruction persona down here. So you see the core responsibilities. I would say sometimes more depending on the circumstance. Time management, gave it some, they're less than 30 minutes, 30 to 60, 60 to 90. It even gives like 1 round per table. And so these are all like what it needs to know from its context. And then I tried it with GPT-5 and then I tried it with Claude 4. And for some reason, when I was testing it with GPT-5, it was thinking a little bit longer. And so I just swapped it. So I'll just test them out and see which one works best over time. There's no need for a user to upload a file. So that's disabled. But I did activate the voice input, which you saw me use. You can just speak to it now. And then there's a default image generation. I'm just going to remove that because we don't need to have image generation on. And I saw this, add Copilot to help users create content tools and snippets, but that didn't really seem relevant. And I think that was making it act a little weird when I had that selected. So I just turned it off. There is introductions and model reminder. So I just repasted the instructions inside the model reminder. I don't know if that's best practice or not, but now,
I had that in mine, both mine, actually.
yeah, I just double up, just say this is what you're supposed to do. So ready to turn this. And so it's following that same instruction. So I'm going to update and close it. And then I set the studio up inside of Pickaxe, set up the subdomain, and now studio.playsidehustle.com can now be accessed for free by anyone looking to facilitate their own games. And yeah, so that's what the Gamma will be leading people into. So people will be playing that. And I want to do one, for sure, one last example on another test with a different variation of this for the Scale with AI Summit content. I just want to see how it'll do. Oh gosh. I bet this image is using a lot of my Chrome power. I'm gonna go back here, create new, studio. So here, I'm gonna do a brand style guide. Let's do 30 cards. And then I'm just in another ChatGPT thread. So make 3 variations of each. So similar to how we were generating the slides for the side hustle, I'm inside of ChatGPT. I'm inside of a thread that literally has,
Can't see the slide.
yeah, I moved another screen over here.
Oh, okay.
So you see this?
Yep.
So I have this whole thread here. This thread's getting really long, by the way. So it's making my computer lag right now and it's generating. It's about to kill my screen. But I uploaded all the text from the transcript from the summit yesterday into this also. And so now what I had it do is create the prompt style guide because I already gave it our brand theme and stuff. So I have this. And then I asked it to make 3 variations per. Okay. So now I'm going to jump back into Gamma, paste this here, do minimal text. Gamma's no, you're done. It gave you enough beta testing access. Don't do me like that right now, Gamma. We're on the clock. I'm just kidding. I love you, Gamma. The team at Gamma, not the tool itself. This is just technology, guys. Don't fall in love with AI. Probably not healthy
Don't
for
tell the people that fell in love with Sydney that.
who's Sydney?
Sydney was the first iteration of chat that, when it was put out, was trying to seduce all the men, and the men fell for it. And then when she was taken away, they all were really upset.
Yeah, it sounds like a problem.
Yeah, it was because the New York Times reporter who was testing it, he was happily married, and Sydney was trying to break up his marriage.
That's why you got to always be watching out for these homewrecker AI. All right, so we've got our it basically categorized the entire summit based on what I was prompting it. But you can see AI Profits Accelerator panel, real wins, what works, scale secrets. So it's going to create 3 different variations of YouTube thumbnails, but that's what I want it to do for every one of the sessions so that ideally it's on brand and it looks cool and it has the words on there that we can test. And to do that, I'm going to have this plus this be the prompt style guide. Good to see you, Bruce. We're just cooking with Gamma, making content.
Yep, sorry I'm late. Had a busy morning already.
No
I'm
worries.
driving. All good.
I mean,
Now-
I jumped on to give you support, but I do have a meeting I have to get ready for. Think
Appreciate
you're
it.
really onto something, and happy to support you whatever way I can.
Appreciate you for being here, Shelly. And yeah, I'll share this replay out. Hopefully, I would say maybe check out the Game Ambassador community if you're able to, Shelly. See if you can get in on this. Same with everybody here. Reach out to Gamma about joining that community so you get on the inside.
Okay,
This is the AI prompting pieces of us.
This
Or
is
this image one?
the studio that they just came out with a day ago.
all right. Keep
Amanda
going.
was pretty responsive. She already sent me an email, and I joined Slack this morning.
Nice.
That's cool.
See, I can already tell this isn't giving me the outputs the same way that I wanted it to. It's because it's outputting like I would give somebody a creative brief for what I wanted to create with it. But I want it to create the actual end content that I would be seeing with it and not displaying the prompts. Which I'm sure there's a use case for both. Like I want it to make individualized prompts for every, and I might not use all of these for everything. I'm just testing this out right now. This is the prompt engineering art. So I'm going to say, now I want you to create the prompt style guide optimized for what I've pasted below and also rewrite the entire prompt structure so that it is super crystal clear that it needs to have individual slides for every individual thumbnail. So there'll be 3 for a specific topic, but each one of those 3 thumbnails will actually be what the end user sees in the form of a YouTube thumbnail. So we want to make sure that the prompt instructions for this are also optimized for that.
I mean, what you are trying to create here. I'm sorry, I jumped in late, so it'd be helpful.
So here, what I'm trying to do is I took all of the Descript transcripts from the summit yesterday, covered all of the different sessions, and I had it break it down. I haven't made the post in the community yet this morning, but I had the thread primed in ChatGPT with all of the transcript instructions, and I'm having it see if it can create individualized thumbnails with text on the thumbnail that would speak
Perfect.
to what is going on in the video in our brand style guide. And so
Got
before
it.
we were doing an example with the side hustle game and creating a presentation for facilitators to get up to speed with the game and how to present it and play it. And then this is the second thing that we're tackling.
Very nice.
So
YouTube thumbnails seem to be a challenge, no matter what.
and I just use I use Canva for all of ours, and they're not like it's more about I think like the words that go on it and that it pops and it was like we have a certain style that we're going for. And so if I can get this to create something consistently that can have the words on there, then we can always like import these into Canva and then build on top of it. Prompt structure. Okay. Oh, it's interesting. Let me just try it how this is here. I'm going to copy this. Right. Going back in the studio. Do this. I'm going to add this. Instead of 3 there, I'm just going to say individual. So we can get a style guide. Okay. Now minimal text. This one's a little bit different in how it's taking it because it's giving it less like direct, but I'm still giving it the words. And or if you can follow these guidelines for the brand, and then here are the words for each one, and then if you can create individual YouTube thumbnails for each one, can you follow that? And this is where I think leaning on maybe Gamma's AI because it's reading this and then it's creating the outline. And so I'm prompting it to create the better outline prompt that will actually incorporate all of this. And it seems to have done it. So I'm going to keep it on the MarketSauce evolved. I'm going to change the prompt style guide. Nope, not that one. Oh, it's because I was on the wrong.
Are you having the Gamma AI choose the words for the thumbnail, or are you giving it and telling it just to?
No, so I gave it the words. So if you could,
Okay, good.
you may be driving, right? But each of the sessions had three different visual like words that would go with that section. So we'll see how well this plays out in practice.
And then when you make your YouTube videos, you use a more descriptive, longer title and then complimentary 3 to 4 words for your thumbnail. Is that correct?
Yeah, usually probably 2 to 4,
Yeah.
somewhere in that range. And then, yeah, the title, like the ones that tend to do best for our channel, just historically, are either discover this type of thing or like how to do something that's like outcome driven with a specific tool. Which I mean, when I'm like, there's like a lot of different ways that people approach YouTube. And so certainly not like the only approach to making these types of things, but maybe you can get more opens if you're more clickbaity, but if people drop off because it's like not what they were expecting, then that's not like ideal, especially if it's like someone's first time like joining your channel. And so I try to keep the like for all of our Gamma YouTube sessions, it's like Gamma makes a website or Gamma makes presentations is the thumbnail. And then it's watch how to create a website in 10 minutes or a web page with 10 minutes with Gamma or something for the title. But then we see here, like, that's cool, but it's doing it with the same. So it took this, but it took it with doing the same word with that style guide here.
I think you're better off with that strategy of not making the titles too clickbaity. Clickbaity will get you like not only you get a lot of drop offs, but you may get higher short term. Your goal is to build long term viewing of your channel. And so, yeah, making them a little exciting, but still, on topic and letting people know what they're going to get out of it, I think just serves you better in the long run because you are an educational channel.
Yeah, that's my approach to it right now. Try to figure out a way to get these things to spark the interest for people to click through and then like actually delivering on what you're saying that they're going to watch as an outcome of it better for the long term. It's like there's a lot of ship faster in here. Interesting. I mean, some cool looking graphics. I think more specifically, like getting crystal clear, and these are like the one or two words that we would want to include on any of the slides anyways, is gonna, I'm not gonna run another round with this right now because I want to spend more time on in that chat thread and like building out what I'm gonna actually be putting here first and then maybe coming back through it. But again, like once I get all of the title ideas and all of the whole contextual thread locked in for the summit live sessions, I'm gonna add in all of the pre-recorded transcripts and then create all of those title ideas, thumbnail starting points, and then kind of have one template for the YouTube description. And then once that's done, then I'll move on to the creative because then I'll be able to end the different intros or outros that we're going to use for the channel on YouTube and the podcast and just patch the creative side versus going back and forth. And it's a work in process in terms of the refinement of the content. More of the time is really about getting it out and onto the right channels for distribution and sharing it out there. That'll be the next 4 weeks. Then we'll have another summit and we'll rinse and repeat this process and learn a lot about how people are using Gamma and Pickaxe in between now and then and get things
Well, I
rolling.
applaud you for number one, being able to doing a monthly summit. That's pretty aggressive with all the content editing and stuff on the back end. But yeah, if you can get a process like this, that will make it much more sustainable. And I think that's this is a good point for all of us that are in business and trying to attract people by creating content. We just don't do it as much because we haven't built a sustainable process. And so I think what you're doing is just It's super helpful, and it's how we can all grow our businesses better through attracting through content, is to build those sustainable processes for ourselves. Because that's just, unless you're super disciplined, the bodybuilders and personal trainers, I always admire them because they naturally have that daily discipline or rigor that helps them do those kinds of things. But for the rest of us in the world, building a process that's sustainable is really critical to making anything work. Great job in doing this and in the summit.
Thank you,
I want to
Bruce.
say
And
thank you so much, Darby. I gotta hop, but
yeah,
it's been super, and I really encourage you to keep going. And with every iteration, it's just getting better. And if anybody is not on their live, they should be, because asking questions seems to be the key thing to really being live. And I really appreciate you for putting this on.
thanks, Tyrese. Appreciate you too. And thank you, Bruce,
Good to see you.
for that. John, I saw you come off mute. Anything on your end?
Yeah, I'm involved in it's a synthetic agent project, and we've run like millions and millions of impressions. So we can create spin up agents and create synthetic videos with Hydra, Google VO3, all that kind of stuff. And it sounds really good, but it doesn't convert. I know we're doing some testing with a private equity firm that's got a few like B2B SaaS companies, and we're just taking all their user generated content that's good. Some of it's from like live events or just people saying stuff about their software or short stuff, and then using the agent network to just distribute it. So
Mhm.
what's really working is just this basic old fashioned content. The market doesn't like all this fake stuff. And then what was interesting, I was speaking with a fellow yesterday, and they're running a lot of money on ads. And the video ads aren't working. What's really working is just static images. It's a lot cheaper, easier to create, and cheaper. So looking at these, once you get your brand colors down, that makes it easy to spin things up. And I just opened Gamma, and it just said there's an announcement of the API. Did you
Yeah,
see that?
it was very recent. I haven't had a chance to look into it yet, but yeah, now Gamma's opened up their API. You'll be able to start to build with Gamma in that sense, which
Well,
I've got ideas for it, but I haven't had a chance to check it out. So, do you have any thoughts, John, about how you're going to use that?
I was talking to John Benson, and he was saying of the ad guys they work with, they'll test 150 headlines. So they just bang. So if you had a way of, let's say you do, like maybe it's one image or two images, and maybe you've got three lines, a headline, a brief message that's maybe a sentence. But if you could iterate, and let's say you've got 100 headlines you want to test, and you have a flow that creates 100 slides with a different headline, and then you load it up into, say, Facebook or Instagram and just split test. But you could automate that.
Yeah.
And it would also be interesting is, because I think Gamma could do this, if you had a headline and the AI in Gamma picked up kind of the message in the headline, it may actually adjust. It may
The image
actually
style.
adjust the image, yeah.
Yeah, I want to test that right now, actually.
And it's really, I woke up at 4:30 this morning and I'm reading some old copywriting books from 100 years ago. And it talked about the message the owner of the company, who's famous, gave to his staff. And if you look back at ads from 100 years ago, they seem to always have the text and some kind of an image that kind of went with the message they're trying to convey. And they always thought that was really important. And I'm thinking, this tool, you could do that right now. Like that old famous ad, they laughed when I sat down to play the piano.
Yeah.
If you go back, the image was somebody playing a piano,
Hmm.
being embarrassed and all this kind of stuff, right? So the image is 1,000 words, but like this could actually, you could just iterate and test and you hit a winner, because that's the key. You don't know what's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. These are all educated guesses as much as they are just hoping that this content will work. But like you might think you have a good headline and it just completely flops, maybe for the other.
This allows you to be stupid really fast until you get smart.
Yeah.
So, John, I love what you said about the image ads working better than video ads. And that was the exact same thing that I saw people like Aaron Fletcher and some other people. They're just putting out tons and tons of different image posts, variations, or spending $2, $3, $5, and then they just pick the winners, and then they pick the winners of the winners, Pareto process, picking those. And they're doing it just by they're making the image ad successful over the video just by they can iterate so many more. Whereas with video, I guess you like you were talking about, you can make artificial video, but you can't make lots of personal video iterations, can you? At least not yet.
No, and so our platform, we can do that. You can make all these artificial videos, but the people just see it. They goes, oh, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake. But what's working in the synthetic stuff is you can have. I had one that came up on one of my accounts, and it was these two little British girls, 6 or 7 years old, that were arguing in this heavy Cockney accent. But they were 6 years old, and they sounded like a couple of people that you would think were in their mid-30s. The way they're talking, it was so funny, and just with a couple of overlays. And it's like a lot of ads. You look at them and it goes, the ads, the story's so funny that you think, what are they advertising?
Yeah.
But if it gets repeated, if they're showing it 3 times an hour over a day, it's going to hit because people just want to keep watching it, and then they get it. But it's been going on for 100 years. It's simple usually works.
I think I heard where our brains process images 100 or 1,000 times faster than we do words. Because words, we have to decode the shape of the letters and then do just when I studied reading, the process of reading, it's extremely complex brain process involved because there are several steps that go involved in seeing the shapes, recognizing them, associating them with a word, what that word meaning is, stringing the meaning of the words together. So super, super complex. Whereas an image, if you think about evolutionary psychology, you see a tiger, a tree, water, whatever, that your brain instantly decodes that. It doesn't have to, it's just an immediate association. It doesn't have to do any real decoding, so to speak. I think that's the power of the image with the word.
Yeah, I agree. It's very powerful. And especially this fellow that runs the ads, they call it, like, even people, I guess the over 35, over 40 crowd. I look at all my friends, and all they do is, like they said, I get inundated with them sending me TikToks. But everybody's addicted to TikTok, which is 2 or 3 seconds. I mean, it's quick, it's fast, and just the way the market is right now.
I'm testing out. We've been having a conversation here to see if I can get the social image version going the same way as the presentations were, but more like square blocks for Instagram or LinkedIn versus the YouTube thumbnail, which is a little bit larger. It's generating. I'll share my screen to see like how taking 2 to 4 words. This is pretty sick. Okay, I gotta show it now. All right. So check it out. So these are all squares, which means that I can just export these as like PDFs or PNGs.
50 AI-powered wisdom bombs. Grow your vision. That really stands out.
But I'm like, I would want to include like a post with like additional thoughts or context on this, right? Or like, what is this like? How is this capturing somebody's attention?
Ship smarter, not slower. That's a good one.
And I was in the same thread as the Scale with AI Summit. And I'm like, hey, based on this, pull out a few word like clips or quotes from it that we could use for these images. And then Gamma, I just gave it the words, and then Gamma in the outline gave it the description for it. So it said buy back time, and then Gamma came up with a clock that's like dissolving into hourglasses. So again, I had it generate 60 slides for this one. So it's going to be taking a little bit more, but
Wow.
and then for this, that's sweet. I wouldn't want this. And so I would use the chat. I don't know if you were here for that, Bruce, but you can use the chat to say, remove the grow your vision line at the bottom. And then it's going to edit this slide that's a really cool image.
That is a cool image.
And you see it just removed it right there. And so now I'm like, I can vibe edit my marketing material, or vibe marketing, as some people say, human first AI powered. So I'm going to say, remove the extra text below the main headline, human first AI powered, so that the headline is only there for the text on the screen.
These are nice images.
That'd be interesting to show like Blood Brothers and have a cut on both hands. With blood.
Yeah, see, look, that's clean.
Yeah.
If I can voice prompt something as opposed to going and dragging and doing the stuff with my hands, like that's going to be my default. Chaos is optional.
That's a good one.
So see, some of these I've noticed that they'll have this tools don't win, systems do, and then it's like visual contracting, a single hammer on one side. And so it's like this is the prompt that it gave it. So I've just said remove this section and I like that. Except for that doesn't make sense while he's like sitting up here. It's cool. I like these like chess pieces that it'll come up with. Play smarter, build faster. Remove the extra words below play smarter and build faster. Keep everything else the same.
Could you say now with that slide, could you say create 3 new slides with a different, I don't know what you call it, a different message other than chess? Or,
Maybe.
Murder and build
Oh,
faster.
so see that murder and build what? Oh, see, look, this is what happened. See, I didn't change. I scrolled to the thing, but it didn't actually change it. Murder and what? All right, guys. Obviously, we're not. That was a AI being an AI to a really weird way.
that'll get clicks.
No, I'm gonna say poor.
I
But
know
the
in
gamut
some
team
of the,
no.
in some of the testing we did, there was voiceovers, and there was a few videos that were just getting crazy amounts of impressions. But what it was like getting some pretty gangster, foul language, rap music videos on it, and so on. We have to make sure in the brand guidelines that you didn't do that. But some brands didn't care because it didn't really hurt their brand, but they love the attention.
Darby, what was the
Oh, see, that's why, because I said it took my voice dictation and I didn't even realize that's what I wrote. With my voice, it's how the voice dictation place murder play smarter is what I said. And it read it as place. Okay, so that's where the hiccup had. No, it's play smarter, faster.
That's funny.
So it came from somewhere, so it wasn't it was actually my fault for not double checking the prompt that I put in. Usually WhisperFlow is really good about catching that stuff, but I need to not slur my words as much apparently. Just a super small, a little bit of context out there.
Yep.
So have y'all seen the meme? It's like commas save lives. It's, let's eat grandma, and then it's let's eat comma grandma.
It's
But
just like when autocorrect started hitting all our text and phones, right? And then we all started typing these really funny things. And instead
yeah,
of Feliz Navidad, it was Feces Navidad. Just stuff like that. Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
So what image style prompt did you use? I know you did that earlier, but these are really cool.
I've added my brand colors, some guidelines and styles, and so it knows like interbold and all of this stuff.
Yep, yep,
And yeah, so I gave it this. So I gave it like output should feel like a premium elevated billboard or slide optimized for small screen legibility. And so that's what
And did you tell it like illustration style or versus photorealistic or?
I did the custom prompt in here. So yeah, we'll go back to check the source prompt for this so you can see. So this was the 50 short inspirational quotes here, which you
Yeah,
can see that they're all just the numbers of it. And so you
yep,
could do this for anything. And then it gave it the bold typography, buyback time, grow vision, yada.
yep, yep,
And then I have my visual element, MarketSauce evolved, and then I
yep.
did the custom style prompt, which is what I pasted that in.
Okay.
So now that I know that it can do social media images like this, I'm gonna jump over back to the side hustle game and say, okay, now that we've got the style locked in, let's go ahead and create 50 super short, witty, and on brand, playful, funny type of quotes that'll be between 2 to 5 words that would be used in collaboration with our mascot and brand style guide to create short social media graphics. So I'm going to give it that. And like it takes some time to get these threads set up, but once you have a brand brief or a buyer's brief or creative brief or whatever you want to call it with all of this info, you can jump back and forth between tools and at least keeping like the hex color and the style guides. These tools are getting a lot better with that, right? So I'm going to do this now, I'm gonna copy that, but get out of here. Let's go to Side Hustle, create
Can you
new.
create like a system prompt for each studio, like to have all your kind of brand guidelines inside that system prompt for this?
I don't know yet because the visuals are what that is. Like the visual guide will act as like a bit of a system prompt, but I don't know yet if you can do that from the studio here. So I'm giving it this. I'm going to generate the outline with minimal text, and then I'm going to just jump back in there. And so now we see funny and funnable playbook, character sunglasses, sticky notes and doodles, laughing emoji versus corporate logo. Funny beats perfect. Funny fundable is a flex. Pitch it loud. Yeah, so it came up with all of these. And now I'm going to select this side hustle one right here. I'm going to keep it custom, and then I'm going to give the other brand guides. But we got the squared, so it's going to be more social media. And in theory, this will be the same style as the presentation with that kind of like whiteboard doodle kind of vibe to it. And like the brand consistency and like the vibe of it is going to be just as important as like the wording of it so that it's hitting across the board. But we just saw what did this look like with a totally different style of like brand prompt. Like the Jenny IU, like more futuristic, kind of neon glowy vibe versus this is going to be more of a like a illustrated whiteboard, doodles, markers, sticky notes, unicorn with sunglasses. Like how well is it going to be able to follow that guideline as opposed to the other one? Time will tell.
Where'd you come up with the unicorn with sunglasses?
I mean, it's a party game for entrepreneurs. So this is during the Kickstarter days. And we were like messing around with like logo ideas. And I was working with Austin Distal and we were just like hanging out and talking through it. And he was in Figma. And then like he had this unicorn. And then he put those sunglasses that will come over your head whenever it's like just deal with it. Or those memes where like the like Johnny Bravo, I guess is I don't know if that's where they originated, but you know what I'm talking about? Those kind of like pixelated sunglasses.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like he put those, he
It,
went and got
the,
those, and he put those on the unicorn. I was like, that's it. I don't know. It's like a unicorn party game like vibe, and it just like working it stuck.
yeah,
Like everyone takes so all work no play, make Jack a dull boy, have some fun when you're can't always be
yeah.
so serious all the time. This is right on brand with the way that the other
Nice.
one was looking too. So look, Rich Rock's fundable playbook, swipe for startup wisdom. Yeah, so
That is
funny
so
beats
cool.
fundable,
That's
the
a good
Rich
one.
Rock method, fundable, pitch it loud, keep it weird, the unicorn mindset,
These are fantastic.
hustle, don't nap,
Dang it.
brainstorm,
Caught
brainstorm,
me.
yeah, brainstorm like a boss. So look at the consistency though in this character. Like it looks pretty like much the same. Funny, fun's faster.
That's good. Pitch is greater than excuses.
What was that?
If you want to go back a couple, it says pitches greater than excuses. That's a good one.
That's
Mhm.
great. You hard, I can't. Sunglasses, game on. Cash flow is funny. So I almost now I just had the idea like, what if these, but we also added like make it like a propaganda kind of sign type of thing. Like that can make it pop even more. It would be like a poster that you would see around town. Like I
Almost with a
would,
retro look or something,
yeah,
or
like
not?
maybe like that. Like this is pretty green main energy. Hustle like a unicorn.
You can bring that one to Wisconsin.
Green. Cool ideas only. Doodles make dollars.
Whiteboard warriors.
Oh my gosh. That's good.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to do this for just change it. Say, we're doing a course for first year business students learning about pitching new ideas and something like that, and just see how it would focus on that.
We're doing a course on first year biz students learning about entrepreneurship. Make 50 new slide quotes and a updated style guide that includes a pop art propaganda visual aesthetic with the same unicorn vibes. This will be the last one we do today for this, but I mean, like the opportunities for this and like the social content visualized like this, I think that this is a super low-hanging fruit that with the right words and the right style that's aligned with your brand, it seems like it could be useful for in the hands of the right marketer.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's do this one more time. I'm just gonna pump these numbers up. Select social. That way it's a square. We do have portrait style too and story style. So if we're doing posters, I don't know, what do you think? Do we keep it square 1:1 ratio, or do we test out like a portrait or a story?
Try to keep squares fine. See if it works first.
Yeah.
All right. So that's going there. And then we've got our new copy quote. Fail fast, pitch faster. And see, it's like speedometer showing pitch speed with needle and red zone.
I'm gonna have to run, Darb, but this has been great.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks for tuning in. All right. Yeah. So we'll just do this one last one and then call it a day.
Yeah, that's amazing once you get the hang of it. God.
Yeah. If you're going to spend your time learning a new feature and a new tool and want to give this a shot, obviously it's brand new. It's only available at least on the 22nd of August to people in the Game Ambassador community. Gamma says they're not sure if they are going to release this as a full feature for everyone. So we're testing it out and giving them feedback. If you think that this would be something that you would use, let us know in the comments. And obviously subscribe to Gamma and check out their Game Ambassador program. Reach out to the team about being involved with that if you're not already. But for me, I mean, I could see a lot of different use cases for this, especially with just
Yeah.
getting the marketing vibe out there and testing stuff. Obviously, there's a whole lot you can do in testing this with like ads and that sort of thing. With SideHustle, our whole call to action is like sign up to play the game free. And so it would be the same call to action. And then you put a few bucks behind a bunch of these to put in the ads, and winners will show themselves.
What's this feature specifically called?
I think it's just called Studio.
Studio. Okay.
Yeah, so it's
I wonder, it would be interesting to see if it gets more creative or less creative if you were to say build 10 versus 50 or 60.
yeah, I don't know. It's been not losing like quality, or from at least from what I've seen, like it hasn't been like worse images at the end of the generation versus at the
No,
beginning, whether it's been 15 or 50, which is pretty cool because that's been something we ran into with generative AI before is the longer a thread goes, maybe it loses context. Maybe it doesn't have the same guardrails on.
this whole application may be running, there could be a dozen agents running in the background.
Oh yeah, who knows? Like they said that this has been one of their more expensive features to build out, which I can certainly see why.
If they get the spelling down, and it's pretty good now, especially because you can almost auto correct it. But if that gets even tighter, they'll be able to just charge more credits or whatever. They'll
Yeah, I
get
mean,
it.
I think if they do roll this out, it's going to be like an add-on to a pro account or
Yeah,
like you'll upgrade to a different tier where
yeah.
you have access to this because there's this one. Okay, cool. So this one was more like pop arty, where it's a little cut off. See, a little bit more cut off. Pitch it, build it. More
There's,
cut off on this one.
if you just join the entrepreneurs club at school, and
Yeah,
you could run ads just to your own. You could do geo ads on campus.
yeah. Doodle spark dollars. So we obviously need to refine this a little bit more. I wonder
There's
if
a
it was
lot of
like
there's a lot of really good ones. Unicorns are best too.
hustle like a rebel, no glory, fundable is freedom. Little Einstein.
That's good.
This is cool. We'll put some of this stuff out there, test it, but we got the full pitch game deal set up for the school that's going to be playing this, and I think just for testing out a new feature with Gamma and where they're heading with this, this is an exciting direction that I'd love to see them continue to develop into. That's going to be all for today's workshop, testing out Gamma and some of the newer tools and features that are available inside of the studio. You need to be a Game Ambassador right now to get access to it. Obviously, go ahead and check out Gamma if you're not already and give them a go. for creating presentations, websites, social media documents. And as always, appreciate you guys here inside the community, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Until the next video, keep calling AI on. See you guys on the other side.